Well, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump has officially surpassed his 2020 vote total. You can see he's a little over 74 million. But because California, you take a look at how slow they count their vote, Trump is very likely to get, I would assume, at least 3 or 4 more million. Some estimates upwards of 78, 79 million in total. So that would be an improvement of about 5 or 6 million from his 2020 number. I got to be honest, California, Gavin Newsom, what a red flag this is just in terms of his overall leadership. This is total buffoonery. Look at this. I mean, 69%. It's like they don't care about counting the votes because they know California for sure is going to be decided. But still, I mean, this is a general election for president of the United States. Maybe you should count a little bit faster and process these ballots. But it just goes to show you the leadership there is totally lacking in the state of California at this point. Harris now is up to around a 19-point lead, which is kind of what I said would happen when it was around 17. I said it's likely to get a little bit higher than that because I didn't think California was really going to shift all that much. It was a 27-point win in 2020. I think it's going to shift a little bit, just like a lot of these other states. But New York and New Jersey were going to shift more. And the total margin, I guess only 94% in New York, although that's basically, most of them are in. Harris is sitting up by about 11.5. You move on down to New Jersey. You do have Harris up by 5 there. Obviously, the huge story. You have Texas, Florida, Ohio, the crazy margins we've seen there. You do have Pennsylvania, which it does look like has closed as a 2.1 point win for Donald Trump. That's a nice margin. It's nothing crazy. Certainly, it's still going to be a swing state in 2028. But you'll take a 2.1 margin, and that's kind of what we were talking about. Pennsylvania, you might be able to win that by a little bit more, and Pennsylvania is really what helped call the election by 1:20 a.m. I said it would be called by 1:30. I was off by only 10 minutes, and it got called at 1:20 thanks to Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. Georgia, with Brian Kemp winning how he won, you would have liked to have seen maybe a 3 or 4 point win. But listen, you'll take these victories any way you can get them. North Carolina, it was around 3.5, so that's a decent margin there. And then Arizona, they finally got 85% in. You're looking at a 6-point win, and this is what I was saying. Arizona might be, when you're looking at the Big 7 swing states, the one state you could move one way, and that would be a lean Republican going into 2028 because it was around a 6.5-point margin. Nevada, you're sitting Trump +3 with over 95% in. That's still going to be a swing state going into 2028, we would expect. So that is the current situation. Donald Trump still leading the popular vote. Harris will make up some ground. I think Trump's up by around 2 points or 2.5. It likely will close around Trump plus 1.8. But obviously you can see Donald Trump does surpass his total vote count there. And then take a look at this. What happened in Florida was just crazy. I think the estimates in Florida, outside of that Siena poll, which did have Trump winning by 14, most of them were 8, 9, 10 points. There was some dialogue in early September that maybe Harris had a chance in Florida. Liberals were kind of hyping it up. Well, you take a look at the final margin, it's around I think that's plus 13.5, but at least plus 13 there, and just remarkable all over the state. I still remember on election night, Trump was up by like 9 points in Florida. I was like, wow, this is pretty impressive. And then somebody messaged me and they were like, dude, the panhandle hasn't even started counting yet because those polls close later than the rest of the state, which is very, very Republican outside of Tallahassee. So I was like, that Trump is going to run up crazy numbers. But honestly, Texas was even more surprising than Florida to me. The margin in Texas and how, because Texas was like 14 points. And if going into election night, I would have said Florida would have been a Trump win by maybe 10 or 11. Texas would have been 7 or 8. So to see Texas go all the way to around 14 points, it is a great sign. And obviously, Texas is not going to be a swing state going into 2028. It's not going to swing that far. There's no way. Liberals are going to talk about, well, the lack of enthusiasm. The new cope for them has been, well, Trump didn't get more votes. It's just that Harris got less votes and all these people didn't vote. And there's been some things going around, like some cloudiness. And this all goes to California not being able to count their votes fast enough because they've got such a massive population. And for a while, they only had like half their votes in. Even now, they've only got like 65% of them in. People are making assumptions because they think most of the votes are in like 95% in every state. That's just not the case. They're saying, well, Harris got 15 million less votes It's not true. She is going to get more than she's at right now because California is very liberal and they're slow to count. But also, Trump's going to get more than he got in 2020. So Trump is going to be again at around 78, 79 million. They were originally trying to say, well, Trump didn't get more. It was just Harris was a bad candidate. And then obviously we know with 2020, the exaggerated margins, the 81 million votes that they said that Biden got, even with Harris getting the extra votes from California, once you put them in, she's still only going to be at around, you would imagine, 73, 74 million, which is still 8 million less. And remember the entire cope that they used in 2020, talking about why Biden got so many more votes than any other candidate. They were like, well, we've got more people in the United States. And by the way, don't you think people are even more politically aware now to where there'd be more people voting than in 2020? It feels like this election was so huge with the assassination attempt and everyone saying, and this is what they always say. I never say this just because I think it just gets said every single election. And I understand it's huge, with the way technology works, the world is getting more and more dangerous just based on how much we're advancing. But they're like, oh, it's the most important election ever. And maybe they're right, but I never say that because they say that literally every election. But I can understand what they're saying because of the amount of illegals they brought to the country, and they were going to give them all amnesty. They were not deporting anyone. The liberals weren't. And so now Trump's going to start deporting these people, and it's a huge thing, and it's a major shift for America. And Trump's got so much power. He needs to use it properly. He really needs to pass some stuff. And we're already hearing about several different things that Trump wants to do. And by the way, there's also stuff about Trump celebrating America's 250th birthday with a massive rally. And that could be a huge thing that happens to get some patriotism back into the United States. And that would be something that would be really good. And Trump's obviously also got the Senate. He's got the House. Now he can really get to work for at least 2 years. And by the way, 2026 doesn't look that bad, even though we know normally the party that's in office does not do well in the next midterms. They'll try and argue and say, oh, well, Biden did well with the 2022 midterms. Yeah, they got thrown a lob softball Roe v. Wade that won them that midterm cycle. But either way, guys, Trump will be getting more votes than he got in 2020 by a decent amount. Obviously, Harris will be getting significantly less than Biden. Trump will be winning the popular vote. It was kind of, some people were saying it was possible. Others were saying no. It was really, if you look at the betting, only a 30% chance. And I had said before the election happened, I thought people were they just assumed that the Democrat was always going to win the popular vote based on what we've seen in recent history. Obviously, that is not the case, and it gives Trump immense power. Liberals were trying to do that compact thing that they had where they were trying to abolish the Electoral College, and this really puts a damper on that with someone like Trump being able to win the popular vote. And really, we're not even talking about where it's an argument of a few 100,000 votes. Trump's going to win by multiple million votes in terms of the popular vote. He's going to win by over a point. So this really is a solid win for Trump, and it just gives him even more power and emboldens Trump supporters even more, because now it's not this, oh, you're still the minority, you're still the racist bigots. Now it's the majority of people that voted for Donald Trump, and that's a big problem for liberals, and they have no argument against it. They just lash out and claim half the country is stupid. That's not a legitimate argument, right? Couldn't just, if Republicans lose, couldn't they just claim that half the country is stupid? It's absurd. But that's really what they're arguing. They're saying people are racist, and they're lashing out, and it's not going to get them anywhere. So, we can let them do that. That's why I really never pay attention to it. I don't care. They scream. All these videos are so fake. It's like they just do it for the camera. They have these breakdowns. It's like, let me set up the phone first and get it, right? So I can get all the views on TikTok. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.